In 2006, I was in a grant writing position for a university, which was really just an endless game of free cell interrupted by the occasional writing assignment. I was feeling unchallenged on many levels, restless, and just flat out stuck. Travel had always been an antidote to boredom before, so I looked around for the cheapest ticket out of Austin I could find. My father's church was taking a week-long mission trip to Latvia, which, once I Googled it to figure out exactly where the heck it was, it sounded mysterious and exciting. Probably just the jolt I needed to break the monotony of my monotony. So I boarded the plane with a group of strangers and 17 hours later found myself in the capital city of Riga. When we arrived at the church, we were told that they weren't sure they needed us. So the group leaders found ways to occupy us with street evangelism, counseling, and working as promoters for an upcoming concert at the church. It was not quite the adventure that I had imagined. So when they gave us a free day to explore the city, I jumped at the chance, and I dragged one of my newfound, seemingly adventurous friends, Angela, out into the streets of Riga. We had a field day. We crashed a birthday party in the city square where everyone was dressed in superhero costumes and drunk at 10 in the morning. We rode to the top of the tallest church in Riga in an elevator that had survived 3 fires, yet still had all its original parts. We ate Latvian street food, strange meat on sticks, horse, and bought priceless amber from one of the 52 amber street stalls. But then we stumbled upon the amusement park. Now, this was not an amusement park by Six Flags standards, or Coney Island standards, or even traveling fair that sets up in a parking lot on the seedy side of town for 2 weeks standards. This was a Latvian amusement park, where the shells of old rides lay broken beside the new rides. So the kids had something to climb on while they waited their turn in line. In the park were the 3 best amusement park rides I have ever seen in my life, mostly because they were all do-it-yourself. Yeah, there was a mechanical bull with a hand-crank generator beside it. The length of your ride was determined by how long you cranked the generator beforehand. There was an airplane ride that just took you in a big circle upside down, but really it was just a pair of bikes with an airplane shell. The faster you pedaled, the faster you got around the circle and back down to the ground again. Yeah. And then there was the tower death drop. You know where you ride slowly up to the top and then plummet to the ground. The trick? You had to use a pulley to haul yourself up to the top of the tower. I immediately told Angela that we were not leaving until we had ridden one of these. What a cab this would be for the whole day. And the bikes, well, they just seemed like a lot of work. And the bull, please, we're from Texas. So we checked out the tower again. It was mainly kids, and they seemed to be pulling themselves up to the top easily, waiting a few seconds, and then dropping smoothly to the ground. It didn't look that scary, so the Tower of Death it was. We walked over to the ride and handed the teenage ride tech our money. He casually looked us up and down, and then pointedly looked at the sign. We looked at the sign. It was in 3 languages, none of which were English. So the only part that I understood was the phrase 150 kilograms. I turned to Angela and said, there must be a weight limit. How much do you weigh? She said that she weighed about 125. Maybe 1:28, she had eaten the street food that morning. Oh, yeah, me too, I said. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's more like 1:30 for me. But that's about 250 pounds, which is totally within the weight limit. I mean, plus, they always underestimate the restrictions on these things. We should be fine. We turned and smiled at the teenager, who shrugged and pointed toward one of the benches. We climbed on, and he locked the safety bar in place. He gave us one more look and started laughing. It was a little disconcerting. The ride started. As you pulled yourself up, the ride circled so that you could get a full 360-degree view of Riga. We reached out tentatively and yanked on the ropes in front of us. Shoomp, shoomp. Ooh, we quickly rose about 2 feet in the air. Just as swiftly we fell a foot. Plunk. Angela jumped. I jumped. We both giggled nervously, reached for the ropes again. A good hard yank took us another 2 feet up in the air, where we dangled a second or two before dropping a foot again. Plunk. More nervous laughter. None of those kids had dropped like that when they were on the ride earlier. That was when we noticed that a small crowd had gathered. There were cameras and lots of fingers pointing at us. But we soldiered on. Shwoop, shwoop, plunk. Shwoop, shwoop, plunk. 15 feet above the ground, 20 feet above the ground, 30 feet above the ground, and finally, we were at the top. We were about 3.5 stories high and could see all the buildings and city sprawl of Riga. The ride was kind of shaking as we circled around and around, waiting for the drop that was to come. We weren't sure what was more frightening, the ensuing drop or the duct tape we spotted holding the whole thing together. But we could feel the fear oozing out of each other's pores. It was probably the most frightened I have ever been, and the feeling, it just went on and on and on and on, because we were stuck. Stuck at the top of the Tower of Death with no idea how to get down. We fiddled with the rope, tried to pull the pulley backwards. We yelled down at the sullen teenager, but he just stared at us. We tried to pull on the ropes behind us, thinking that might loosen something, but to no avail. We just circled around and around and around. Finally, I found a button on the back of the seat and pressed it. The safety bar flew up. Angela and I yelped and grabbed at it, trying to relock the thing. And suddenly, out of nowhere, we plunged into a free fall. We were screaming our heads off, hanging desperately onto that safety bar that was above our heads. I was praying that because we were on a mission trip doing the Lord's work, he might save us from our own stupidity, you know? And suddenly, wham! We came to a screeching halt about 10 feet off the ground and slowly dropped 1 foot at a time. Plunk, plunk, plunk. The crowd that had gathered at the bottom started cheering and clapping, like we had defied gravity, which we kind of had. Yeah. You know how they say that in the moments before death, your life flashes before your eyes? It doesn't. Mainly, it's just images of a Latvian amusement park ride. But what they don't tell you is the moment after, the moment that you realize you are dangling just a few feet above safety. That is a moment of such complete clarity That is what the blinding light is. It's the onslaught of profound, life-altering realizations that maybe you should write down somewhere and remember for the future. Things like maybe the next time you're getting on a weight-restricted, do-it-yourself amusement park ride, don't lie about your weight. And learn to say, hey, call 911 in Russian. And that maybe the next time that you are stuck on this ride that we call life, with no way of knowing how to get down or out or moving, maybe the best thing you can do is release that safety bar. I mean, sometimes a free fall can be an adventure, not the death trap that you expect it to be.